Salute, Nick family and NBA Nation. Welcome to the Just Nicking It audio podcast and YouTube simulcast, sort of. I'm going to upload this to all your streaming platforms after the show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, for those that don't already know, and my weekly spot with Uncle Freezie of Blanche Tears. And I hope I got this right. The New York Knicks podcast. He will correct me on all your streaming platforms here on draft day, about a week ahead of free agency and in the midst of the trade season, here to talk about the Knicks and what they need to do to stay in the playoff mix next season. Let's get into it. Freezie, how are you? How's it been? I'm laughing because this morning, Ajay, one of the resident panelists on the DopeSoulSports Talk, the Just Nicking It show, sent me a picture of Leon Rose sleeping. Now, I don't know if that's just because of the Boston trade and the Beal trade and things that the Knicks could have been in the midst of, or is it because just overall he thinks the Knicks are conservative, slow, or frequently sleeping? Anyway, how are you? We're going to talk about what the Knicks, like I said, Knicks need to do to stay in the mix. How you been?
I'm well. I've been rocking all day, basically. I was up this morning, shot a video, did a short live stream, nice. went out, walked the dog, did some studying for this certification I'm working on. Jump back on, did a live, find out one of our friends is doing crazy stuff, and then here we are.
I know you heard about the Boston trade. Right. I don't know if it was finalized or if it's still in a potential state, but the main players, Marcus Smart going to Memphis, KP going to Boston, and Tyus Jones and some players not really main players.
Contracts. It's just contracts.
Yeah, going to the Washington Wizards, who are in the midst of blowing it up, which means that our protected pick will not convey at all, basically. But I guess my first question is, let's get right into it. What do you think the Knicks need to do overall to keep pace in the Eastern Conference? Now, mine is real quick, and I don't know if they're going to be able to accomplish all three in this offseason. They need to find a way to bring in somebody equal to or better than Brunson. And like I said, I don't think they may not be able to do this in this offseason. They need to bring in some dependable shooters, and we need a veteran point guard. If they can do all three of it in this one off season, I'll be super happy. I doubt it. Just your thoughts overall on what the Knicks need to do to keep pace in this Eastern Conference. Let me just say this real quick. It's not just about who's in front of us. Like, a lot of fans are thinking, oh, how do we overtake Philly and Milwaukee and Boston? But how do you stay ahead of those teams that's in the back as well?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I thought Toronto underachieved. I don't know if they bring back that same roster, but if they do, they may be formidable. Miami was the eighth seed last season, probably won't be the eighth seed, this season. Atlanta, depending on what they do. Charlotte, they're getting back LaMelo Ball. They have the number 2 pick. Maybe they re-sign Miles Bridges. They were in the playoffs, not last year, but the year before. So it's not just how you get ahead, but how do you stay in front of those who were behind you last year? Just your thoughts on what the Knicks need to do to stay in the playoff mix.
For one, I think if they do nothing, then the Knicks are a top 4 seed in the East. Right? I don't think Cleveland's better than us. They got up to a faster start than us. So they basically held on to that 4 seed because they built a big lead on us, and we didn't have time to catch them.
I agree.
Right. I don't think Milwaukee is going to be the same. I don't think Philly is going to be the same. Now, I'm not saying that these teams won't be a 2 seed or 3 seed or whatever, but I don't think they'll be the same. They won't get the same results. You're looking at Philadelphia and Milwaukee changing coaches, right? So now you're looking at not rookie head coach. Well, AJ Griffin. I'm sorry, Adrian Griffin is a rookie head coach,
right?
So there'll be some trial and error there as he learns on the job. But in terms of Philadelphia, hiring Nick Nurse, there'll be some transition there. They'll have to learn how to play the Nick Nurse system. There are some changes in other places. I'm thinking the Knicks are going to be just fine if they do nothing. Now, is just fine going to please the Knicks fan base? No, right? The Knicks they don't care. Knicks fans have got a taste of, basically they sniffed clean air, right? So they got out of the lottery, they got out of purgatory, they got to a place of higher heights where they could basically sniff clean air, and they like it. I'm one of them. I'm a fan. I know. When we were down 3-2 against Miami and had a reasonable lead in the first quarter of Game 6, I felt like if we get this game, if we get this series back to the Garden, we in the Eastern Conference Finals. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Now, with that said, we got to that place of clean air with a bad Randall, with the RJ that played 3 bad games out of 11, I think. But that means he played 8 good games out of 11, right? We had a Quickly injury. We had a Grimes injury, a Jericho Sims injury from out of nowhere. We played inconsistent. The offense was inconsistent. All these different things, and we still could have made the Eastern Conference Finals. So with that said, do you tear down a team that was that close to bring in a guy that may have had a good resume somewhere else, but has never did it in Jersey? That's a big time risk.
It's a big time, yeah. It is.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I get on here and I'm not really contrite. I need to show more contrition. It's just so if you're listening to this on audio podcast, the Queen and I, we kind of rock, and sometimes I can get long-winded. It's just like when you're in that comfortable spot. But I try to like trim it down some. What I'm getting at is Boston made a major change. Does it make them better? We don't know yet. We'll have to see. They still have a young coach, right? Nick Nurse has to do something with Philly. We don't know what. Don't know if Harden's coming back. And if Harden's not coming back, what do you do with Embiid? Milwaukee, Chris Middleton just opted out of a $40 million contract. He's unrestricted, right? So is he gonna come back to Milwaukee, or is he gonna test the waters? Is he gonna go to a place where he could go and make a team a championship contender like Sacramento? If he goes to Sacramento automatically becomes that much better. Now, how that impacts the Knicks? It means the path in front of us may get easier, but those teams behind us, those Atlantas, those Orlandos, those teams that are right on our heels, right behind us, we have to watch out for them because they might be putting together a better core. They may be putting together a better core than us. So we have to basically keep our head on a swivel. So should we do something this offseason? I think we should. We have the assets. We have the young players. Now might be the time to make that move to add a piece to complement what we already have. But if you change the recipe, Queen Bee, then we're in the same position as all those teams that I just mentioned. The teams that mix it up.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I'll say. I agree with you. There's a risk. There's always a risk when you make changes. But there's a risk staying pat as well. Right? there's no guarantee that because you made the playoffs one year, you're going to make it the next. And we've seen that. Charlotte made it one year. They didn't make it the next year. I think it was 2 years before that. Toronto was the 4th or 5th seed. And then the next thing you know, they were like in the play-in. The Knicks, who were the 4th seed one year, and then the next year, they weren't in the playoffs. So there's no guarantees if you stay in pat. Well, there's risk standing pat, and there's risk changing up your roster. There's a risk either way, and I think the Knicks are in a precarious spot. Basically, this is what I will say though: how to defend the Knicks. That blueprint was showed by Miami. The Knicks have structural issues. See, so to me, this is not just. I think the Knicks were good offensively despite themselves, because they were able to come up with a formula to score that didn't include being a really good shooting team. And I think Miami exposed that. And I think more teams will do that. I think the Knicks structurally are just not a well-rounded, balanced team. Now, if they were, like if I was able to look at this team and say, this is just about growth. This is a balanced roster. This is just about growth. This is just about staying together. I would be all in. But I just think it's a clunky fit. It was always a clunky fit, and we was able to get away with it. But it was exposed in the playoffs. So I think, to your point, stars don't come along every day. We may not be able to get a star. Like, to me, I don't think that's sleeping. If one comes along, you have the assets, you can do it. But if a star doesn't come along, you can't just be changing to be changing. But shooting, dependable shooting, that's within our reach. Bringing in a veteran point guard, that's within our reach. There's no reason why when Brunson is hurt and IQ has to move to the starting lineup, your second team point guard is either Josh Hart, or McBride, who is an offensive liability. You understand what I'm saying? So there are things that the Knicks must do to fix the structure of that team. And in that starting lineup, you can afford to have one player that can't shoot. That's either going to be Mitch or it's going to be RJ Barrett. Like, people talk about, we got to choose between Randall and RJ Barrett. What if we had a shooting center? If we had a shooting center, maybe RJ Barrett and Julius Randle don't look as bad. So I hear what you're saying. Even if Boston didn't do what they do, I hear what you're saying about Milwaukee. I hear what you're saying, the transition with a new coach with Nick Nurse. Forget all of that. Then just looking at the Knicks and just how they played last year in that roster, if nobody else did anything else, I still think they need to do something to balance out the roster. I think offensively, they were exposed. And obviously you have to have a team of players that can expose them. But basically you pack the paint and you dared them to beat you from the outside. That's how you beat the Knicks.
Okay.
So just your you kind of went through it already. I was going to ask your thoughts on the on the Boston trade, and you kind of went through it with Boston and Milwaukee and Philly. Yeah. I don't know if Boston is that much better. I love KP. I know there's some Knicks fans who are really down on him. I thought he had his best season last year. I thought he stayed relatively healthy. As far as low management and injuries, it's just spreading like wildfires through the NBA. If you can get 70 some odd games, that's great.
That's great. Right.
And he was able to do that. I think the loss of Marcus Smart is going to be huge, man. Not having that point of attack defense. You can argue, and I know somebody in the chat already argued it, that they don't think Boston is as good, bringing in KP and taking away Marcus Smart, even though you're going to move Brogdon into the starting lineup. Just your thoughts on the Boston trade and whether you think they're better or worse, or any other thoughts about it.
Not only are they better, they're way better without Marcus Smart. Yeah, I don't even. Some stuff just goes. I mean, some things should go without saying. Like if you're a Knicks fan, and you just saw your all defensive guy not provide offense in the playoffs and saw your team lose, and then you complained all the way up to today, how you gonna make a case for Marcus Smart? I mean, it boggles my mind. We complain about Mitch. We like, yo, Mitch defense great, man, blah, blah, blah. You know, Mitch, but it's offense. We can't, you don't have, Marcus Smart is a guard that can't shoot. Right? So now you talk, I mean, man, it's not even a question. In my mind, I already know what Boston's doing. They're going to wait on a buyout market for Chris Paul or somebody like that and bring in a veteran to replace Marcus Smart. And then they're going to have a balance of offense and defense in today's NBA. Man, the Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat showed you, like, if you have a one-dimensional player, you can scheme them off the floor. It don't even matter what position they play. If you're one-dimensional in today's NBA, you're a liability. With the rule changes and stuff, we watch Mitch lack of offense and then complain from the time we lost in early May up until today about Mitch's lack of offense. And then it's like people telling me, yo, we need Cat. And then Katz was telling me this morning in the chat that the Celtics are going to miss an all-defensive guard that can't score and with a liability in the playoffs. And to me, it sounds like it's either hypocrisy or a weird catch-22. Man, the Celtics are better just by adding balance to the floor. And Kristaps Porzingis shot 38.5% from three. So now when you double Tatum or Brown with Porzingis on the floor, if you double any one of those guys, the other guy's gonna eat. No doubt. It's like this thing now. And then when it comes to the defensive part of it, we have to remember that defense is a team game, because even Cleveland. When I watch the Cleveland Cavaliers stuff on YouTube, they want to get rid of Jarrett Allen. They say Jarrett Allen cost them the series against the Knicks because an all defensive guy got played off the floor. Marcus Smart is just, these guys are going to become dinosaurs if you can't play offense now. And I know it's very early in this process, right? But it's recognizable. If Jared Vanderbilt from the Lakers, their defensive stopper guy, he was exploited so bad. If you're just a one-dimensional guy, teams are just going to scheme you off the floor. I'm sorry, Marcus Smart. I'm a fan, but smart organizations like the Celtics, they recognize stuff early and they fix it. And it's the reason why they have 17 championships and multiple, maybe 40 appearances in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I will say, though, that Smart was the heart of that team. And there's something to be said. And I think he shot well enough to keep them honest, to keep them honest. I just think some players, what they bring is more than their stats. And I think they're gonna miss Marcus Smart. That being said, what you can do with KP is kind of what you were doing with Horford. Though Horford is a better defensive player than Porzingis. You basically switched out Horford for Porzingis and added about 4 years to that Horford window, because you could tell he was very effective when he was in the game, but you could tell he got 1 year left, 2 years left. You basically extended that in terms of what you can do with a KP on the floor. You can put him at the 4. I think he's more of a 5 now, but you can put him at the 4. And if you put him at the 5 and your defensive center now, Mitchell Robinson is playing away from the rim, or Mitch want to sit in the key if he wants, KP gonna bang it. So I think in terms of the offensive versatility, you're absolutely right. I think they are better but I'm not going to understate Smart in just that guy that he's not afraid to get in your face. He's not afraid to tell, Brown and Tatum, yo, y'all need to pass the ball. What y'all doing? You need those guys when you get deep down in the trenches. You need those guys on the team. Tatum, for as talented as he is, I don't really see him as a mentally tough guy. And I could be wrong. I don't see him game in and game out. Brown comes across to me as a, mentally tough guy. KP, I don't know. Again, I don't watch him game in and game out. I agree with you. I think it was a trade I would have, but I would have thought about that. That wouldn't have been like, we're gonna give you KP for McBride. I don't even got to think about it.
Right.
I think for Marcus Smart, I would have paused a little bit, but eventually, to your point, I would have made the trade. And like you said, they're probably thinking we can get White that could play point of attack defense if we need to. We're gonna maybe they bring in a Pat Beverly, maybe they bring in a Reggie Jackson, maybe they bring in another.
I don't think they bring in it. They won't bring in a defensive guard. Not like that.
Not like that.
The way that they lost, I don't think they lost because Jaylen Brown had to play point guard in Game 7 against Miami, and he looked terrible doing it. And Marcus Smart, Mr. All Defense, was there. Mm-hmm. They couldn't even get into offense with a defensive-minded point guard. Right. Jaylen Brown had to facilitate when Jason Tatum hurt his ankle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But even before that, I noticed in those fourth quarters, even when Tatum was healthy, Brown was handling the ball a lot. And I was like, why is that? So I, even more than Tatum, and this was without the ankle. This was even before the ankle injury. But I hear what you're saying.
They were down 3. Yeah, they were down 3-0. Yeah. I agree with you. But but my thing though is these guys, like for instance, mm-hmm. You watch the Denver Nuggets win the NBA Finals. Sure, they had the best player in the league probably for the past 5 years. He's been the best player in the league over the past 5 years, right? I watched him. His defense is awful. I watched Jamal Murray, a scoring guard.
Oh, yeah.
His defense is not good. Well, Michael Porter Jr., he is not a defender, right? They put Aaron Gordon, who's a solid, probably good defender, and KCP, who's borderline great defender on the floor. So they had 2 defenders on the floor with 3 guys that flat out, they not defenders. They not it, right? And so what I'm saying is does a championship team need 5 defenders on the floor at the same time? No. Do they need 4? No. The Denver Nuggets prove that you can win a championship with 2 defenders on the floor. You know what I'm saying?
The offense got to be on point though, and that's the thing.
Right.
Just real quick, it's always an interplay between your offense and defense. If your offense is great, your defense doesn't have to be as good. If your offense is not that good, then your defense better be great. You got Jamal Murray and you got the Jokic. Yeah, you can get away with that. Right. I don't know if every team can get away with that though.
Right. Boston can get away. Boston and Tatum and Brown are excellent offensive players. That's what I'm saying. Like ultimately, like if it were the Knicks, could the Knicks get away with that? I don't know, because the Knicks don't have a Tatum and Brown. They don't have a Murray and Jokic. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a Porter Jr. that can get hot once or twice a week and carry a team. So you know what I'm saying? The thing with Marcus Smart to Memphis, it makes sense in their case because they're doubling down, tripling down on what they've done historically. This is the whoop that trip team. The you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The Memphis Grizzlies. That's their bread and butter. And then plus they had to trade for a guy because Ja is going to be gone. You know what I'm saying? Right. So instead of starting the season in the hole, say 6-19 until Ja comes back, they go get a guy, a proven leader, somebody to wrangle up the troops. Somebody like what you said, who was the heart and soul of the Celtics, He's going to bring that same energy to Memphis, to a bunch of young dudes that we think on the outside looking in is a group that's out of control. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely traded for that veteran in order to help them to get through the regular season, knowing that Ja can help them on that late season playoff run. The Celtics will be just fine. They may be better, in my opinion. I think once they add a Mike Conley, Chris Paul, or whoever, all they need is just a guy that keeps. All they need is a captain to the ship. That's it. Just a guy, because nobody is stopping Tatum or Brown or Porzingis. These guys are 20-point scorers on any team on any night.
I agree with you, but I think we got to bring it down when it comes to Tatum. I think we want to give Randall all the smoke when it comes to the playoffs, but when it comes to Tatum, he's great, no, regardless of what he does in the playoff, particularly Game 7, Game 6. I think Tatum is all right. I think Tatum is really he in my opinion, he's getting that regular season player moniker now.
Okay.
Now that being said, I have seen him perform in the playoffs in high leverage games. I think that closeout game against whoever they played before
Philly?
Miami, was it Philly, when he dropped 50 something? So I'm not gonna say it's that bad.
Would you trade Randall for him?
Of course, but the point I'm trying to make is I think he is ahead of Randall in terms of playoff performance.
Okay,
but they at a higher level now. You understand what I'm saying? We're not talking about, round 1 performance, round 2 performance. We're talking about Eastern Conference Finals and Finals performance.
Right.
So he'll have to grow into that as well. But he'll have to get better. But is he better than Randall? Yes, right now. But he has more playoff games than Randall as well to get used to that type of environment.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is if you switched out Porzingis and Mitchell Robinson, would the Knicks offense be better?
Yes, but that's the same thing with Mitchell Robinson and Cat. A lot of people are down on Cat, but not contract aside. Yes, any type of scoring center who's going to bring that defensive center out of the paint, then yes, the Knicks will be better. Now, you're going to give up something defensively.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is, and all the I'm ready for the tomatoes. The point I'm trying to make is I think Mitchell Robinson might be a little overrated. Not necessarily for what he does on the defense, but I'm talking about the net of it. And I think as good as he is defensively, he's not great defensively that it overrides the lack of offense that you're getting. Like he's not like, Rudy Gobert would have these seasons of, just double points, rebounds, 2 blocks a game. You couldn't even, you would, come to the timeout like, oh my God, couldn't get nothing in there,
Right.
Mitchell Robinson is not giving us that game in and game out where you could say, whoa, like Cleveland. If he played like he played in Cleveland every single game, if that was his norm, then you could be like, yo, yeah, we are giving up something offensively, but on the defensive end, I mean, whoa. Now it's like, whoa, like I appreciate what he's bringing, but it's just not enough to override his defense. So, yes, if you bring in KP, you bring in the Cat, the Knicks, you're going to have to find another way. There's different ways to be a defensive team. Right. Our schemes would have to change a little bit. But yes, a long-winded answer to your question, yes, the Knicks would be better.
Yeah.
That's
why I think the Celtics are better. The Celtics are better because the thing that Marcus Smart and one-trick ponies, I'm just going to call them one-trick ponies so I won't have to use a bunch of examples.
Mm-hmm.
The one-trick pony, the thing about one-trick ponies is once that one trick is over, what else do you have?
Right.
And if you don't have nothing else, then now the team is going to exploit. Like the Dillon Brooks of the world, you're an energy defender, and then you go up against LeBron, and being an energy defender means nothing.
Right.
So now what else do you have, Dillon Brooks?
Right. No doubt about it. I mean, but I think it also matters what role they're in. You know, maybe you can have one-trick ponies if they're coming off your bench for a specific role, but maybe you can't have that, you know, in your starting lineup on somebody you're dependent on game in and, you know, game out. So the role may matter. Like we may be able to get away with McBride, who's the definition of a one-trick pony, and spot minutes, but you can't start him at point guard.
No.
So I get your point. Yeah. I get your point. So Boston still remains ahead of New York as presently constituted, right?
I think so.
Let's talk about Milwaukee as we talk about the Knicks keeping pace.
And there's a caveat to that though. Boston's ahead of New York right now, like right after noon on draft day. I just want to put that caveat.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I said. Right now. That's
okay.
Oh, right now, because things can change in the New York minute.
Right.
Which we're hoping.
we're hoping.
It will. Let's talk about you know, Milwaukee. Some Knicks fans would argue that had the Knicks met Milwaukee in the playoffs, that they were able to get past Miami, that the Knicks would have did all right against Milwaukee. We kind of finished our season series with them real early, so that even after the trade deadline when we got Josh Hart, we didn't play any other games. So it was kind of hard to see how we match up against them. But new coach, rookie coach, like you said, Middleton opted out of his $40 million. I don't know what he was, because I don't think that type of money is coming around, but maybe he got some intel somewhere.
Yeah. These agents have all the inside information. Yeah. As fans, we know nothing.
That's true.
These agents know everything.
That they were either going to re-sign him to a longer, you know, contract, or they got an inkling that another team was interested. Whatever. Did the Knicks right now gain any ground? Well, Milwaukee is pretty much the same team. If Middleton comes back, and the Knicks are pretty much the same team. I still would put Milwaukee ahead of the Knicks. I don't think, unless something happens today or in the offseason to change my mind, I don't see the Knicks overtaking Milwaukee unless somebody on the Knicks makes a major leap.
Right.
I guess you in agreement with that. I didn't even get a chance to sip my little.
No, I actually disagree.
Oh, okay.
I actually disagree. I felt like we were better than Milwaukee since about February, even before Josh Hart. Right? I was telling IKBM Dre, shout out to IKBM Dre. I was telling Dre in February, in late January, I was like, I wish I was, when we were like, we didn't know if we were going to be the 6, 7, when we were in that weird range, you know what I'm saying? In that range, I'm thinking like, I hope we get the 2 seed. I think they would have 1 seed. And I was like, sit back. I was like, I'm okay being the 8 seed. Right? Wherever Milwaukee was at, I was like, I hope we get them. Because I saw Milwaukee beat us on BS. Right? I saw Milwaukee beat us on BS. I saw the game where Giannis down the stretch cried like a baby to the ref. Oh, Randall keep touching me. And the refs gave Giannis all those calls late down the stretch, and they beat us. I think it was a Friday night game. And then I saw Drew Holiday hit back-to-back dagger step-back threes over Grimes, and Grimes was all over him. He hit 2 prayer threes over Grimes. And if one of those threes miss, we win. If just one of them, if one of those threes miss, we win. And he hit both of them with Grimes inside his jersey. There was nothing else Grimes could do. Grimes played immaculate defense on him without touching him. He hit him. They won. More power to him. But I don't think, I never thought they could beat us like that. And then there was a third game where, or it's in the same game, Brook Lopez was knocking down corner threes in Mitch's face. And I was like, there's no way Brook Lopez could stay this hot from three with Mitchell Robinson inside his shirt. That's how they beat us. That's why I was thinking, y'all beating us like this on y'all court. I can't wait till we get y'all in the playoffs. Where the whistles are different and everybody looking. I just feel like the Knicks are a lot better right now, as currently constituted, than a lot of people will give them credit for. Like right now, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound strange, right? It's the end of June. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound strange. But I think at the moment, the Knicks might be the best team in the Eastern Conference. Might be, right? I'm not guaranteeing it. And I know I can hear the chat of everybody in the chat like, yo, but you said such. What I'm saying is, even though we might be the best team in the Eastern Conference, you still want to add talent to your roster if you can, right? Do I think Nick Nurse is gonna have Philly better than us? No. Do I think Cleveland is better than us? No. Do I think Milwaukee is better than us? No. Do I think Boston is better than us? I'm thinking, I don't know. They just made major changes. I'm putting the Knicks in that category as one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference right now. Right, but my only thing is I can't speak with any certainty because tonight is going to tell it all.
Right. I will say this. I think the Knicks overachieved. I think the Knicks got away with some stuff offensively. Like I said in my opening statement, they're not going to be able to get away with. Some things broke right for the Knicks that they were able to win despite RJ Barrett having the season he had. And I'm not talking about the playoffs. And they were able to succeed despite the fact that they were not a reliably shooting team. Though in all fairness, after they went to the 9-man rotation sometime in December, I think they ended up 12th in 3-point shooting after they went to the 9-man rotation. So I'm not shitting on the Knicks. I'm not saying that they're not a good team.
Right.
But the way they got exposed by Miami, and you can make an argument that maybe a lot of teams won't be able to expose the Knicks like that. If the Knicks are able to pull off what they did this past season, number 3 in offensive rating without dependable shooting, then you're right. I just don't think they're going to be able to do that again. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. Now, if you're telling me that they're going to be able to do it because Grimes is going to be a reliable, dependable shooter this year and quickly right out of the gate, because he's a worker, is going to be that dependable, shooter, and RJ is going to get his shot together, then we don't. Right. Then maybe we don't need to do anything because that's the issue, in my opinion. Grimes and RJ not being dependable shooters.
You want me to be honest with
shooters, you, right? Then I'm with you.
You want me to keep it a buck, right? And you don't want me to be polished up commercial, you know what I'm saying, ESPN like, right? You want me to keep it gully, right? So here's the thing. Grimes is not the problem. Grimes shot 39% from 3, basically like 38.6, right? And he did it on decent efficiency, right? Like I think he shot like 5 threes a game or something like that. Emmanuel Quickly shot 37% from 3. Both of those are above league average. Where we messed up, and I'm keeping it an absolute beam, where we're inefficient at is RJ Barrett. And I love RJ. I'm the number 1 RJ Barrett fan in the Knicks universe. And I dare anybody to challenge it. Right? RJ Barrett, his offense, his inconsistency on offense is the weakness. It's not Randall. Randall is a rebounding power forward. If you expect a rebounding power forward to shoot 40% from 3, it's not a Randall problem. It's a you don't know basketball problem.
Randall was league average at 3 for his position of power forward. He was at league average.
Right. RJ Barrett, though, RJ Barrett is the issue. I love RJ, but there have been times, long stretches of a season. See, RJ Barrett is the epitome of streaky, right? When he gets it right, he looks great. Like he could be the future of the franchise. When he doesn't get it right, you like, get his ass off the floor. You know what I'm saying? RJ Barrett looks that bad in his peaks and valleys.
And to your point, real quick, Tibbs didn't waste no time when Hart came, decreasing RJ Barrett's minutes immediately. Yep. But go ahead.
Yep. And that's oh God. Soon as Alec Burks got here, Tibbs gave Alec Burks all the minutes. Right? This is my example. I know, and people are gonna be like, what you mean Alec Burks, man? His name is Josh Hart. I know. Every time you give Tibbs that guy, every time you give Tibbs Kirk Heinrich, Keith Bogans, every time you give Tibbs Chris Dunn, every time you give Tibbs a Burks or a Josh Hart, he inserts that guy. He wants to run three wings on the floor at the same time, have a rotation, all of them playing 28 minutes. Tibbs, it won't work. It's not working, bro.
Right.
It's not going to work because you overwork your point guard. It's the reason why Derrick Rose has bad knees right now. It's the reason why. It's the reason why we never got a full career out of Derrick Rose. Because Tibbs is going to have his point guard do all the work and then rotate wing players around and not help him in the backcourt. Next thing you know, Derrick Rose is out. And I'm here to tell y'all, and I'm not putting bad luck on Brunson. I'm knocking on wood right now. If we continue, because Tibbs' first year, Derrick Rose won MVP, right? Then the years after that, you saw the accumulation of injuries. If the front office don't go get Jalen Brunson help right now, Jalen Brunson is going to be a what if story. Because that's the system. That's the system he like. RJ Barrett has to improve. RJ Barrett has to be better in order for that not to happen to Jalen Brunson.
Well, not just RJ Barrett. I agree with you about RJ Barrett. Shout out to Joe White. For those that listening on your favorite streaming podcast, I have the a comment up. So glad you mentioned Grimes and Quickly. We have to stop with the analytic analysis. Grimes and Quickly were not consistent shooters. They were either super hot or cold, hence the percentages. And that's what I said. I think when you look at the final numbers, 38%, 37%. But when you're watching both of those guys game in and game out, you're absolutely right, Joe White. There was games in which, Grimes, for example, was 5 for 8, 4 for 5, 2 for 4. Because some games he didn't get a lot of volume, and then there were other games he was 2 for 7, 1 for 8. So and the timely shots that he got, he just didn't knock down. So that's why I always say dependable, reliable shooting.
Yeah, I think Joe White is absolutely wrong.
No,
because Emmanuel Quickly is a starter, averaged 22 points a game and shot 40% from 3 as a starter.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's in 22 games.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you have somebody like a Buddy Hield, or you have somebody like I'm trying to think of the other reliable shooters. You know what to expect from them guys game in and game out. And yeah, there are some games where they may have a bad game. Right. Grimes is not somebody you can rely on every single game. That he'll have a bad game now and then, but for the most part, he's going to knock down the open looks that he got at a 38% clip every single game. But he'll have some bad games. No.
Right. Except that's not right. That's not accurate. The thing about it is Grimes since the All-Star break, shot 41% from 3. I'm looking at the ESPN.
You're not listening to what we're talking about. We're not talking about his overall averages. We're talking about game to game.
I mean, how many? But think about I'm talking about game to game. After the All-Star break, that's not a big enough sample size.
Okay, you can get to 41% by shooting 55% one game and 20-something% another game. and you can get to 41% or you can get to 37%. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, he's heading there. And I get it. He doesn't shoot a lot. He doesn't get a lot of value. So I'm not banging on him. All I'm saying is there's games when he'll hit a good percentage of the shots he makes. And there are other games in which he just doesn't. And it averages out to 38% or it averages out to 41%. But I'm just saying the Knicks need a shooter at that position where more games than not, they're gonna get 38% every single game. And they'll have games where they'll hit more, some games where they'll hit less, but every single game they're gonna shoot around 38.
I think he's throwing them away. Because here's the thing. Grimes started off the season shooting 29% from three, right? You know when that was? When Cam Reddish and Evan Fournier and all these dudes and Tibbs rotated, nobody knew what was going on. He shot 29% from three. He makes him the starter for the rest of the season. The dude shoots 40% from three.
We talking about two different. I agree with you. Overall,
no, I'm talking about that one stitch of time at the beginning of the season in November. A man shot 29% from three. Once Tibbs was like, "No, we're gonna do this." Grimes, you the guy. The dude shot 40% from three.
Freezie, I'm not arguing with you.
Okay, all right.
He didn't shoot 40% every single game. He didn't shoot 38% every single. This is what I'm talking about, a reliable shooter. And you even said yourself, a reliable shooter where game in and game out, if you give him some open shots, he's going to knock them down. There's games when he did that for us.
Right.
And there were a lot of games in which he did not. I'm just saying it was just inconsistent. Overall, yes, he shot 40%, whatever. Listen, I'm not down on Grimes. I'm just saying the Knicks need somebody where any given game, you put it this way. We can't leave that guy open.
I get what you're saying. I think y'all just swinging at the wrong guy. I think y'all need to be pounding on RJ.
No.
RJ Barrett is a guy.
Worse.
RJ Barrett is the guy that needs correction. Yeah.
Both of them. Grimes needs to be a little more Grimes needs to be a little more consistent. RJ just needs to show up shooting wise. Like I agree with you. He's just not. It's to the point with RJ Barrett. I don't even consider him a shooter.
Right. And so that what I'm saying to you is this. Right. What I'm saying to you is this. I'm just going to use the extreme example. Right. Say Klay Thompson played the three as opposed to RJ Barrett. Would we even be having the discussion about Grimes and Quickly?
With who? If who played the three?
If Klay Thompson was playing the three instead of RJ Barrett, right? Will we even be having a conversation about Grimes and Quickly's 3-point shooting?
I would.
No,
because I think you need it on both. And I'm with you with RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett was worse. Worse.
RJ Barrett was terrible.
Yes. No. I'm with you. And I'm not banging on Grimes. I get it. He needs more experience to be that dependable shooter, which is why I don't think he should be starting for the Knicks. He's just not that reliable right now. Eventually he will be. I think they thrust him, and the Knicks do this a lot, miscasting people, putting them in starting lineups who are at this point are just not starters.
Right.
Or expecting them to be number one options when really they're number two options, or number two options when really they're number three options. So I'm not banging on Grimes. He'll become more reliable over time. But right now he's not. But I get what you're saying. People are talking about Grimes more than RJ Barrett, though. I do think RJ Barrett got his share of the detractors that, in my opinion, you got to upgrade both the shooting guard and small forward position.
Did you know since March of this year, Quentin Grimes had 9 games in which he hit 4 3-pointers?
Good for him. We need more of them. That's great. That's great. I'm not.
You hard to please.
That's great.
You hard to please.
And he probably had more. So that tells me that he's on his way, Freezie. He's on his way, and I agree. But he's also had games where he was 1 for 7, 2 for 8, Where he missed all these timely shots where you're like, oh my God, that's a great shot. If he hit that, we can cut into their lead. If Grimes hit that shot, we can extend our lead. And time again, he didn't. Listen, he's young. He's young. He will grow into that. He will get better.
In that stretch, he had 7 games that he hit 5 3-pointers. And we're talking, hey, Grimes, we need more of that.
Yes, we do. It's an 82 season. It's an 82 game season. If you're going to sit here and tell me that we don't need dependable shooters at the 2 and the 3, that we're okay with Grimes and RJ, then no. I hear what you're saying. RJ is more of a.
I'm not saying Grimes and RJ. I'm not talking about Grimes and RJ. I'm talking about Grimes' progression at the end of the season, right? That's what I'm pointing at. I'm pointing at that Grimes, when Tibbs put Grimes in the lineup and left him alone, stop all this. Such and such might start. We need. Once Grimes settled in as the starter, he was exactly what we needed in terms of 3-point shooting. Now, RJ Barrett has been a starter here since day one, since 2019. And we still, since 2019, we're talking about RJ Barrett's shot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm RJ Barrett's biggest fan. But listen, when it comes to stuff, you can't praise everybody and then turn your back when you see stuff that's not right.
Freezie, you get no argument from me as far as RJ Barrett is concerned. You cannot have a small forward who can't hit the 3 and stretch the defense, and then you want to put him at the 2. What is that going to do? That's not going to help his shooting.
No,
putting him at the 2 position, the shooting guard, hence the name shooting. Right. So switching him to the 2 is not going to help his shooting. I'm just pointing out that to me, both of them are an issue, unless what you're saying, Grimes was trending at the end of the season. He sure didn't trend into the playoffs.
Right.
But if what you're saying that
he was hurt in the playoffs, though.
All right.
Remember, he had a shoulder injury. He had a shoulder injury and a bruised lip and some kind of foot thing he had going on.
Yeah. Okay. 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 All right.
What?
Listen, okay. We want to listen. It's okay to say that the guy is young and he needs some more time to grow into the position. I don't see anything wrong with that. The guy's young. He needs more time to grow into the position. He hasn't arrived yet. He's not a starting 2 guard on a championship contending team. He's just not. You know?
So he wouldn't. So you don't think he would be able to start over KCP for the Denver Nuggets?
No. You need more experience. Did you see hold up? Did you see him in our game? We didn't even.
Are you saying
Denver won the entire thing? No. Listen, right. Does he have a higher ceiling than KCP? Absolutely.
Well, he's better than KCP right now, in my mind.
Okay. Put Grimes in those same position. Let's see him snag that rebound. Let's see him
put Grimes in those same position with Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. Yeah.
You're gonna let's not act like the shots he got were contested shots. You're gonna get the same open shots, but you're gonna be in higher leverage games. No, he's a rookie. He was shook. Freezie, did you see him pick up his dribble? Be looking around for somebody. He was a little shook, and it's okay. He's growing into the position. He picked up the ball. I can't tell you how many times. You got to hold your dribble if you a guard. You know that.
If you're a guard, you got to play in tandem. I get it. But KCP is not a guard either.
Okay. Right now, if I'm in the playoffs, I want somebody with experience. I don't want a rookie out there that I have to count on to knock down big shots.
That's all I'm saying.
That's all.
His 3rd year is coming up.
Freezie, we're on the same page as far as that's concerned. He has to grow into it. But no, if I'm on the championship round, I'm not switching out KCP for Grimes.
I got
3 years from now? Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think I got to. I think Grimes is better than KCP right now. I think Grimes is better than Marcus Smart right now.
Okay. The same ham sandwich.
Well, you can't be a ham sandwich forever. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you come in and you get better over time. right? All these guys do. All these guys, they get better over time. Okay. Yeah, he was a ham sandwich day one. Right now, is he a ham sandwich? No.
All right. Well, he might be a turkey and cheese.
He might be a prosciutto and crackers right now. I mean, I don't know.
He got some work to do. I'm not going to kill. I'm not killing Grimes. I like him. I see him as the future starting point guard for the Knicks. If he's starting next season,
two guard, not point guard.
Two guard. That's what I meant to say. Shooting guard for the Knicks. If he's starting next season, I'm not happy.
What? How many? Now you're doing him like Frank Ntilikina. Well, he needs 7 years.
You need to. You can grow into a starter on the bench. That's how it's usually done. You start on the bench, you grow into a starter. Unless you're drafted to a lottery team, then you could start right away.
I think RJ is a problem. It ain't even Grimes. It's RJ. It's RJ.
RJ is problem number one.
Right.
Grimes is between Grimes and Mitch.
Mitch is problem number one. Mitch is problem number one because guys like that, they get played off the floor. And no disrespect to Mitch. No disrespect to Mitch. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Mitch. But when it comes to certain things in the NBA, you can't be a one-trick pony. And then it's like my uncle used to tell jokes, right? My uncle used to show up and tell his best joke as soon as he come in the door. And then now he here for 3 hours. He ain't got no more jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all you got? Yeah, that's all I got. Right? You know what I'm saying? So the thing is with the starting five is definitely a really good regular season team. Right? But when it comes to the escalators, when it comes time for people to step their game up, Mitch doesn't have that step up gear. You know what I'm saying?
Like, he stepped up against Cleveland, though. I'm just saying.
Right. I'm just thinking step up is 20 points and 20 rebounds.
Oh, no.
Yeah, can I get 20 points and 15 rebounds? Is that not a step up? Would you take 20 points and 15 rebounds from Mitch? Or are you
take 15 points and 12 rebounds from Mitch?
Oh God, that means he got to have like 7 blocks. You know what I'm saying? Because Mitch is offering none of that. So for him just to be a little bit better than what he normally is, it's not really a step up. It's just a little bit better than he normally is.
More consistent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like Mitch had a monster game. And I'm not disparaging your thought because I understand the thought process. I'm with you. I'm on that wavelength with you, right? My thing is we just have to, I feel like as Knicks fans, and I'm talking about everybody in general, we have to have a standard of, because if Mitch stepping up against Cleveland is a step up, then RJ powered up all the way up in the playoffs. And we need to take RJ Barrett out of the conversation because RJ Barrett had 8 good games in the playoffs out of 11.
But this is one time I will say for Mitch, and fan base say it all the time. This is one time I would say for Mitch, everything he did in that Cleveland series didn't show up on the stat sheet. Him and Isaiah Hartenstein, because there is no stat for holding Jared Allen to 4 rebounds because Mitch and Hartenstein was gobbling up all the offensive rebounds. There's no stats for that. I mean, I guess offensive rebounding percentage, would be a stat. He did. I mean, I guess if you're just looking at counting stats for Mitch in that Cleveland series, then no, he didn't. If that's all you're looking at, then yeah, you can easily look at the box score at the end of the game and be like, he was all right. But if you watch that game in and game out in that Cleveland series, Mitch was another animal.
Yeah,
but I agree. That's just not who you're gonna get from Mitch game in and game out. And the offensive downside is just not worth what you're getting defensively. And with the contract he has, he could be moved for somebody pretty good, and the Knicks can become a better defense. Like the reason why Mitch is so great is because our perimeter defense is poor. You get some good perimeter defenders, and maybe your center doesn't have to be all world, stopping every hole, stopping every drive.
Right. Yeah, that's not where the game is going though. If we thinking that is what we need, then we're gonna be behind the curve. The what teams are doing now with what the offense that Sacramento ran, that Trident offense, where there's a 3 outlets on every time somebody touch it. That's why it's unstoppable. Or the Denver Nuggets, Jokic in the high post and cut backside cutters and all. If we're thinking that, well, we're just gonna stop all of that, we're just gonna shut all of that down, then we're just gonna be where we've always been, a second round team. That's going to be a second round team for like 2 years, go back in the lottery, stay in the lottery for 7 years, and then fire 3 regimes. We got to start getting ahead of the curve on some of this stuff. We got to be out front of change and everything. We got to start innovating. You know what I'm saying? We are an old school franchise that refuses to innovate because we want to do stuff the old school way. And our championship runs prove that we're old school. We get away from innovation. We don't want to do new stuff. You know what I'm saying? We want to do it the old school way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But not even getting ahead of the curve. It's catching up with the curve.
Yeah. I would even say acknowledging that there is a curve. How about that? You know what I'm saying? The thing is, we don't want, we want a championship. We want it a certain way. We don't want headaches. We don't want bad boys. We don't want an offense first team. We don't want superstar guys talking. We just want it to be a certain way, and that's just not how you win in the NBA. You got to win. You got to ride the wave. That's how teams win.
No doubt. So so who do you have at center? Who's in a perfect world? Don't say Giannis, because we're not getting them.
I don't think Giannis is a center though.
Or well, that's true. Or the Joker. Who's your center next season?
Are we talking about upper echelon or cost effective?
Whoever you want. Can legitimately be gotten. Like, you're not getting a Joker. So that's
you mean that can knock down the 3 if the shot is given to him. Somebody that can catch the ball on the roll, somebody that can dribble, right? Somebody that can knock down free throws.
Whoever you want. Who's your center?
I'm doing RJ Barrett and Obi Toppin for DeAndre Ayton.
Ooh, you're going so that way you can get some offense and some defense.
Defense. And a guy that's okay being the second option or third option in an offense, in a pick and roll, right? That way you can keep Grimes on the floor for your defensive shooting, right? That way you can keep Randall Randall doesn't get killed every game. You know what I'm saying? I would, and listen, I love RJ and I love Obi, right? But if we can get a center that can, the offense that people love to throw out as a buzz phrase. What about the pick and roll, man? Would y'all stop? You only run the pick and roll offense 25% of the time, and that's high. I mean, of the 100 possessions on a nightly basis, you run a pick and roll 25 times. We got to cut it out. Like, who gonna run the pick and roll? Man, you only run it 25 times. So, but the thing about the pick and roll is this: you got to get a guy that can set a pick and roll to the basket. While he rolling, he got to be able to catch the ball in traffic, either dribble and finish, or finish at the rim. Mitch ain't that. Mitch ain't gonna pick. He ain't gonna roll. He ain't gonna catch. He ain't gonna dribble. And he ain't gonna shoot.
Yeah. Only thing I'll say about Ayton, he can hit the 3. I mean, how many? If anybody in the chat has it, for those on audio, we are who's listening on the audio podcast, we are also streaming to YouTube. So
thank y'all for listening.
Yeah, anybody has Ayton's 3-point percentage as well as how many he took per year in terms of would he be even respected out there. But Jeff Clafter brought up a good point. With the new CBA, you got to be concerned about how much money you're locking into a position, and not because of the luxury tax. That's fine. Dolan has the money for that. It's more about locking yourself into a team that you can't improve if you get past that second apron. And Ayton, if I'm not mistaken, is close to max. If he's not a max player, he's close to max. So how I see it going in the CBA is teams, once they get accustomed to it, you're probably only going to have 2 max players, and then everybody else is going to be on a like 20 and under contract, because it's just going to be really hard to fill out a roster with 3 max players. And I don't see Ayton as being a number 1 or a number 2. And we already said that we don't believe Randall is a number 2. At least I said that. So
we can keep Mitch.
No. What I'm saying is, are there cheaper options so that don't lock us into a lineup that's not a championship contender?
Mitchell Robinson, he on a descended contract. His contract is going to be cheap.
Cheaper offensive options. Like I would consider Cat, and I would consider Turner before Ayton.
Cat getting the bag though, Queen B.
He's getting the bag, but when you he's not there yet. But if you were to ask me between Cat and Ayton, who has the better chance of, in the right environment, elevating their game, I would choose Cat.
I'm gonna say Ayton.
Okay. And because Cat is just more skilled than Ayton is. Now, Julius Randle says something. I don't know who watched him on the podcast P. The interview he did with Paul George on Paul George's podcast. It's called Podcast P. He said that, when he became an All NBA that first year, they asked him what was it about, and part of it was he worked his butt off that summer, but the second part of it was the environment. Like, he came into an environment where Tibbs laid it out, the habits they were going to need to do right now to become eventually a championship contending team. And being in that type of environment where he was held accountable, not in the way we want him to be held accountable, like sitting on the bench and his minutes being shaved, but where there were expectations, he was able to shine in that environment. So it's possible. The way we get on Levine, the way we get on Cat, the way we even get on the DeAndre Ayton, I'm sorry, about his motor, it's possible in a different environment they can take their game to another level. I just think Cat is more skilled than Ayton offensively, at the center position, if you're playing him at the center position. And I think Turner over Mitch, not over Cat. And we could talk about Turner's rebounding, but Mitch ain't a great rebounder himself. And I think he has the ability to be a better rebounder, and I think he has the ability to be a better defender. He actually made an All-NBA team once in his career, and Mitch has never done that.
Right.
So yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm with you in terms of the Mitch thing. And it's just a matter of who the Knicks. And I think the Knicks understand that as well.
Yeah, I'm going Ayton.
Okay.
I'm going Ayton because I don't honestly
you ain't getting nobody else, Freezie. So you locking yourself into Ayton, Brunson.
Nah, y'all can't talk to me about money. Y'all can't. You listen, Queen B. No disrespect, but y'all can't talk to me about bread. How we gonna talk about bread? And we had $34 million sitting on the bench for 2 years, basically.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the CBA. So I'm talking about.
Yeah, the CBA kicking next year though. It don't kick in this year.
Okay, but he's going to be on the team next year too.
Right.
So you got to think ahead when you're building out your team.
I
So
understand that.
so when you have you got to ask yourself, is this a championship contending team? If I got Ayton, Brunson, and Randall,
Right. Right. And
I
and
think
and
it's
I'm and I'm still keeping
tired.
and I'm still keeping Grimes and I'm still keeping IQ.
Good luck.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
luck. Good luck. Good
Yeah.
luck. I mean, listen, if they bring, I just feel that unless you sending out, I guess if you send out if you send out RJ, you still need a star. Ayton is, to me, I don't see as even a budding star.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
at
he
the
is.
center position. Not at
Yeah.
that center position. Like, so you see, I mean, let's take Joker off the table. Who are star centers other than Joker and Embiid?
Cat.
Like,
Aiden.
you're gonna need somebody next to Brunson. You're gonna need that guy, and I don't see a Brunson Ayton pairing as being a championship contending pairing.
Right. Right. I feel you because I feel you because seeing is believing, right? Seeing is believing. But you did ask me how I felt though.
You did. I did. I asked who you wanted to see at that center.
You asked me, and then I asked you to clarify. I was like, "High upside of money," and you said you take your choice, right? Remember that?
Yeah, no, I know. Freezy, I'm just saying I disagree. I ain't say you wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
think
said you wrong.
nah, I'm not. No, I ain't touching. You know me. I ain't. You know, my thing is, you ask this dude to play 30 minutes a game. He gonna give you 30 minutes. He gonna give you 10 rebounds. He gonna shoot 68% from the floor, and for the most part, he gonna stay healthy. He ain't that dude that every time he fall on the floor, you holding your breath. Is he gonna get up?
Right.
No, he not that dude.
Do you
He's
have
got,
oh, sorry, again.
and he's gonna shoot. Now he's gonna average your 18 points on 13 shots. So he's gonna take 13 shots. He's gonna get you 18 points, right? In those 13 shots, all of that is not creating shots for him. Some of that is going to be offensive rebounds, and some of that is just him finding creases in space. You're talking about a low maintenance scorer that's going to get you points around the fringes, and teams are not going to foul him. Teams are not going to foul him. You know why? Because he's going to shoot 75% from the floor. And one of the markers, people tell me, oh no, Uncle Freezie, the marker of a great shooter is if they can shoot free throws. Well, this dude, he a big shooting 75%. He a big guy shooting. Hey, Serious B, it wasn't Ayton getting played off. It was everybody, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. The Phoenix Sun. That's why they fight. They didn't fire Ayton. They fired their coach. Come on, y'all. Y'all know what it is, man. Come on, man. We be so hypocritical of everybody, right? And then we'll be hypocritical of somebody in one sentence. In the very next sentence, they'll be like, "We need to get rid of Mitch." Then how you gonna criticize Ayton and then be like, "Mitch let you down"? Come on.
If it wasn't for the fact that once you sign him, it precludes you from going out and getting a star unless you're going to put him in that trade for a star. I would be all for it. If the salary cap was such that we can have Brunson, a star, and Ayton, I'm all for it. But when Ayton is your number 2 guy, I can't lock myself into that. But if it was Ayton, a young Paul George, a prime Paul George, and Ayton, I'm all on that. I'm all on it.
All
I
right,
just think he
Queenie,
can't
I
be a
can't.
second
I
guy.
don't understand what you got to help me on it. What team does Ayton play for now? The Suns, right?
Yeah.
And the Suns have 3 other stars on that roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Ayton is the 4th guy. And you saying on our team, though, there's an exception because if you get Ayton, you wouldn't be able to get another guy.
Right. But Phoenix is locking themselves in. They're actually looking to get rid of Ayton because they already know with the 3 guys that they're over the second apron freeze. The second apron is coming.
Right.
I mean,
And,
next year.
and
So they're locked. They cannot improve their team. So Ayton is out. So that's the issue. Bring him. So now you got Ayton, you got Randall, you got Brunson, you talking about you still want to keep Grimes. That means you got to pay Grimes.
Yeah.
Quickly is still on this team. So you signing Quickly. That roster is locked in. Because once you hit the second apron, you can't improve your team. That's not a championship contending team.
I understand. But okay, let's not do it that way. Let's not do it by name. Let's do it by dollars. Right? So you got Booker at 37, right? You got Bill in his 40s, you got KD in his 40s, and you got Ayton in his 30s. And then you talk about the Knicks, who have Brunson in his 20s, Randall in his 20s, RJ in his 20s, and Ayton would be in his 30s.
This is the difference. Those guys you're talking about can get you a chip. Right. These guys you talking about bringing Ayton to this team, that's not a chip-worthy team. That's the difference.
We don't think it's a difference.
Right. I don't think
speculating. Yeah.
I don't think that's a chip-worthy team. I don't think that's a championship contender. So my point is Phoenix can lock themselves into that roster. And they're not even doing that. They're trying to move off of Ayton, from what I understand, and just go with those three and role players. You can lock yourself into Booker, Bill, and KD for a season or two or whatever. You can't lock yourself into Ayton, Randall, and Brunson. Where are you going with that? That's the point. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
I think Ayton makes us the best team in the East.
Okay.
And
you have to give to get, though.
Yeah, you have to give something to get them, right? You have to give something to get them. And that's what everybody, because Phoenix had to give something to get all those guys except Booker and Ayton.
Yeah. So maybe we will be able to sign somebody, because Grimes, Quick, and RJ might be gone in the package. So we might have enough left to get
I think they would take Mitch and Obi. They would take Mitch and Obi and probably some type of relief, like 40 years contract.
Just to get off the salary, Ayton's salary.
Yeah. To give them flexibility to bring back Torrey Craig and other contributors. You know, I think we're operating under the assumption that Josh Hart is going to be the missing piece for us. So nobody's
operating under that assumption. If there's a Knicks fan out there operating under the assumption that Josh Hart is the missing, nobody is ever.
Yeah,
we're operating under the assumption that we need to bring in a star to pair with Brunson, and I don't think.
Well, let me ask you this:
at $30 million is it? I think you can get another star at $30 million to pair with him.
Okay, so let me ask this: do you think Jalen? Do you think the Knicks are bringing back Josh Hart?
The Knicks are bringing back Josh Hart, but Hart, from what I understand, but he's not the missing piece. The Knicks may also bring back. Does that make him the missing piece?
They might extend Quickly. Yeah.
They might extend quick. That doesn't make them the missing piece. The Knicks still need pieces. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, what we're saying is we don't want to bring in DeAndre Ayton for the salary of Evan Fournier and Josh Hart.
What I'm saying is, I think you can get a better star with that money to pair with Brunson.
That's cool though.
Well, I don't know.
Because you said you asked me at center. So who at that price point is gonna be that piece?
For me, if I had to choose between Cat and Ayton, I would bring in Cat and pay him that money, because I think he at least has the potential in the right environment to okay. But
Cat's not 32 million. Cat's like 47 million.
I understand that, but to me, I feel he's better than Ayton, and I feel in the right environment he can take the next step.
That was unfair how you did me just now.
He's a better skill player than, you know.
I don't disagree with all that. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is, for that window, that salary, that 30-32, you know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, Ayton, right? But then you said, well, now I'm gonna go take Cat, because if that was the case, I'd have just said Embiid. You know what I'm saying?
But Embiid may not be available, and Cat is. That Cat potentially is. There's been rumblings that
Minnesota's not running back.
I just feel like if you're locked into Cat, Randall, and I'm not saying I would do this. I think Cat, Randall, and Brunson is a better team than Ayton, Randall, and Brunson. I think so. But this is the point the Knicks have to. This is a different question. This is a different set. This is the issue the Knicks have to deal with. How are you divvying up this money? How are you creating under this new CBA? How are you creating this championship contending team where you're limited in terms of how you dole out your money now? You know, who's your two stars on the team? Everybody that's been connected with the Knicks as far as trade rumors, I don't see any of those guys as stars. I think maybe in the right environment, one or two of them could take a leap. Like we got Randall before he went into stardom. We got Brunson before he went into stardom. Maybe Cat, maybe Levine can elevate their game in the right environment. But none of those players connected with the Knicks right off the top.
No, that ship is sailed for them. That ship is sailed for them. They got too many years. Cat is like an 8-year player. You know what I'm saying? You want to catch him like right at that 4 or 5 year window, right where DeAndre Ayton is at, right where Donovan Mitchell is at. You know what I'm saying? You want to catch him. You want to catch him right there.
That's fair.
So if I'm the Knicks, I go all in. And I said it, man. And people think I'm crazy. I guess I'm the king of the hot takes, but this is just what I believe, right? This is just what I believe, right? I think if Tom Thibodeau gets his hands on Donovan Mitchell, he is going to turn Donovan Mitchell into the league MVP. And the reason why I say that is because we saw the same Tom Thibodeau, when given the same athletic profile of a 6'1.5", 6'2" athletic freak at guard in a Tom Thibodeau offense, was once the youngest MVP of the league. The only difference between Donovan Mitchell and that guy is Donovan Mitchell, for the most part, stays healthy, and Donovan Mitchell can shoot. So if you're equipping Tom Thibodeau with a healthy Derrick Rose with a jump shot, I think this cat can be the league MVP under Tibbs. Now, with that said, when you bring in that guy, he won't have adverse effects on the guy that's already here in Jalen Brunson. All it does is make Jalen Brunson more effective, because when you put the Brunson burner next to a guy with the potential to be the league MVP, all it does is it keeps eyes on the guy with the MVP potential. Now the Brunson burner is cooking one-on-one, as opposed to getting trapped and the ball removed from his hands, and you bring in double teams with a power forward. So Brunson has to shoot over all those guys. Now, who it will affect, your small forward, they not even a factor no more. And Julius Randle will basically revert back to the mean, which means Randle will probably be 17.5, 18 points a game, about 11, 12 rebounds, and better defense. You might even see Randle's 3-point percentage go up, because those threes that he shoot won't always be heavily contested.
Right. And the volume will go down, I would think.
Yeah. And even I would be okay if the volume stayed the same if he was getting open looks. If you bring Donovan Mitchell here and he was getting open looks, the thing is, we don't have a problem with Randle shooting as many threes. We have a problem with what those 3-point shots look like. Are they smothered, heavily contested, off the dribble three? If it was just him catching it and letting it fly open gym style,
right.
Then now I have no problem with that man taking 7 threes. I don't.
Yeah. So I agree with you on that. And basically, if Randle is your third best player, you have a championship contending team. Point blank, period. Point blank, period.
18 and 12. If we can get Randle at 18 and 12 with the focus more on defense, because he doesn't have to be the number one option. Now we talking. And you solve all of that by bringing in something that's familiar. A hyper athlete, the 6'2", 6'2", 6 whatever height, hyper athlete with MVP potential under Tom Thibodeau that can shoot, and you can give him ball handling breaks because you got him playing the 2, as opposed to when Derrick Rose was just a point guard next to Derrick Rose was the point guard next to Keith Bogans and freaking Kirk Heinrich. The Heinrich maneuver. Can you imagine Donovan Mitchell next to Jalen Brunson?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question though. If you got Spider, Brunson, and Randall, do you need to move Mitch? Is it okay that he's limited offensively, or do you still feel like you need, maybe not at an 8N or a cat level, but do you still feel like you need somebody that can stretch it just a little bit?
Now you read my mind, right? Now you read my mind, right? Now I think we on the same wavelength, right? The thing is we never said that with Rudy Gobert. When Rudy Gobert was with Donovan Mitchell, he was leading the NBA in dunk attempts every game until he did the stupid COVID. They remember the stupid thing he did with the microphone, and all that, and ruin a relationship. Before that, Rudy Gobert was leading the NBA in dunks thanks to Donovan Mitchell. Now, the one thing I know that Mitchell Robinson can do is that dunk, finish in traffic. So yeah, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite by saying, you know, Grimes is this, Grimes is that, Grimes is this, Grimes is that, and then be like, yo, he the first person in a Donovan Mitchell trade, right? But if it came to it and you gotta offer Grimes and RJ and something, I would entertain Donovan Mitchell and Isaac Okoro trade. I think that'd be perfect for us. It'll give Tibbs the squat midget wing defender that he won't. You know what I'm saying? And then it'll give him his Derrick Rose level player with the jump shot. Point guard position is set. Center position is set. Randall gets to cook against average defenders every night. That's one of the things that Randall against average defenders is a beast. Right? Randall against set defenses, they game planning for Randall, he aight.
Right.
I ain't mean to get long-winded there. I know we on your podcast. Y'all, if y'all listening, man, just go to the fridge and get like a Red Bull or coffee or something. And you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, y'all.
No, somebody said that the Zach LaVine and the Knicks trade was close. So I was just wanted to see if there was anything. And the only thing I see about 3 hours ago that he's the next domino to fall.
That's all over Chicago Bulls YouTube, by the way, y'all. Chicago Bulls YouTube, that's all over their stuff. Like they just waiting for that to happen, and then DeMar DeRozan to go somewhere else.
You prefer LaVine or Spider?
Spider
at the 2.
Spider. Yeah. Even though I love Zach LaVine's athleticism, right? I love, you know what I'm saying? I think UCLA guards have something to them. Like they have like I know Jamal Wilkes is not a guard, right? Anybody remember Keith Wilkes from UCLA? Anybody remember Keith Wilkes? He's Jamal Wilkes, but the Russell Westbrooks, the Holidays, the Lonzo Ball, the Zach LaVines, they just have something to them with sharing the ball. So yeah.
I'm okay with any either one of them. I prefer Spider, but I'm okay with LaVine. I like his efficiency as well. I think in the right environment, he will play defense. He's about plus 0.3 over his career. So just his offense and defense is about even. And he's somebody that's used to having the ball in his hands down the stretch. And he's somebody who's used to being a high usage guy. But there's something about Spider-Man. I think he has more playoff experience. I think that's really what it is. He's been in these high leverage games before. And even though he didn't play that great against the Knicks this past season, I've seen him perform. I've seen him perform in the playoffs. So I just don't think Spider's coming available this year. I think that's a next year thing. I don't think he's re-signing in Cleveland.
No, he gone.
So I think they're gonna have to get off of him, but I don't think it's gonna be this off season. That's the
he's gone. Cleveland, if y'all don't make y'all move, I think y'all don't make y'all move. Because the one thing the owners in Cleveland said, he was like, he'll never be held hostage by another guy looking to leave. He was referring to LeBron James. Right. But my thing is this, no offense to our West Coast listeners, but I just like East Coast basketball, man. That's just my preference. No disrespect, because they ball on the West Coast. They hoop. But it's just something about New York basketball, man. It's just something about the stink ass air in New Jersey that make basketball players just good. It's just something about it. You know what I mean? So if we get Zach LaVine, I'm happy. If we get Spider, I'm getting a Donovan Mitchell tattoo on my chest. And I'm telling Jericho Sims take that jersey off for me and him be fighting.
Let's do this. Let's close this out for our audio podcast listeners and those that's on YouTube. Hang back. We're going to get some bonus content. Same stream, but let's just close it out for our audio podcast listeners. Great show, Freezie.
Thank y'all.
Always a pleasure. Knicks in the neighborhood, always a pleasure. And our bi-weekly spot, basically weekly spot here. And then next week, you can catch us on Freezie's audio podcast. He'll tell you
New York Knicks basketball, hosted by Uncle Freezie, Lawrence Tears. Thank y'all for listening. I'm going to stop talking with my hands. I don't know what audio podcast. I'm going to stop talking with my hands because y'all can't hear my hands. So I apologize for that.
Yes. Until the next episode, audio podcasters, listeners, I appreciate you. All right, let's continue. So now I know where to cut it off when I post the audio podcast. Thank you, YouTubers, for being patient. And let's continue with the discussion. Hopefully that break didn't break up the vibe.
YouTubers are being patient? What? The YouTubers are being patient? Oh, boy. All right.
Before we get out of here, I do want to talk a little bit about LaVine, and to a lesser extent, Cat. But I think the point I want to make is probably the point I've made maybe 2 or 3 times already, and I just want to bring it home again. And that is that I get it. We say players when they reach a certain point, they're who they're going to be. And I agree with that as far as skill set. For the most part, they're probably who they're going to be. But in terms of the mental aspect of the game, in terms of intelligence, in terms of intelligence/basketball IQ, in terms of deploying that skill set, I do think you can improve. And I think that's what Randall talked about. Again, Podcast P podcast, and he talked about just being smarter, and looking at film and being able to understand what teams are doing and now what you have to do and things like that. So I say all of that to say, as much as LaVine and Cat may be who they're going to be as far as their skill set, I do think there's another level in terms of how they deploy it in terms of being able to read defenses and in terms of being able to come up big. In order to come up big in tougher situations, that means that you're reading what they're trying to do and you have a counter for it. And so your game is growing more mentally. And so that's why I think Levine and Cat have another level. Maybe not skill set, but I do believe those guys have another level. But the question I have for you, Freezie, and it could be those guys, it could be anybody else. Is there anybody that you've heard of that's associated with the Knicks as a possible trade target that you think has another level to them, that they may not have shown it up to this point, but they have another level?
Zion? That's it. When I heard the question, I was thinking like, because the question is basically like asking three different things. You know what I'm saying? First of all, are they attainable? Right? Can the Knicks trade for them? Do they have another level they can get to? You know what I'm saying? And when I think about all those three things, who is available that the Knicks can get, that's at that age range, that has another gear they can get to? I think the only person really maybe is Zion. I mean,
not arguing with that.
Yeah,
my only arguments, but not that.
But my only thing is, getting a Zion means you have to change around your team. And when you look at the Pelicans, their issue is they didn't put enough shooting around Zion in order for their offense to be effective. And then guess what the Knicks don't have?
Right. Hopefully it's something they remedy, though.
Yeah, hopefully it's something that they remedy. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Outside of that.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, RJ and Zion would want to play together.
Yeah, they may want to, Freezie, but no.
Yeah.
Zion, unless something has changed, I don't see him as a good outside shooter either.
But he is one terrific inside shooter.
Right. That's what.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So I don't see him stretching it, and then you got RJ not stretching it. Listen, if we're going on talent alone, I'm all in.
Right.
On Zion. My issue with him is 114 games in 4 seasons. He's a max contract. You're rolling the dice. If he stays healthy, you got one.
What if I told you that's how Joel Embiid started his career?
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with it. That's what I'm saying. If he gets over it and stays healthy, you want it. But you gambling, because if he doesn't, you're stuck with the contract. And in this CBA, not like the old CBA, just pay the tax. Bring in somebody else and just pay the tax. You got him stuck on your bench. Ain't nobody else to bring in. You capped out. There's nothing you can do to improve the team.
Right.
So it's a little more risky. And, we'll see if the Knicks want to take that risk. But talent-wise?
Or here's the other option. Or you don't have to take a risk at all. And let Tom Thibodeau run your point guard into the ground. The funny thing I think about, I hope it's not a trend. Right? But Cass was like, yo, Tibbs, don't do that, Cat. Injuries are a part of the game. Yeah. Derrick Rose blew out knees and stuff. He traded a Zach LaVine in a next stop. He traded a Zach LaVine on a torn ACL, and then now he's got Jalen Brunson.
We'll see, Freezie. I'm not buying in. I'm not buying into that. But I will say, you gotta have a backcourt with 2 players that can handle the ball. You gotta have somebody else who can handle the ball. But I gotta be honest though. I think Brunson still would handle it. I think the only reason somebody else would bring it up is if they trap him. I just think he would want the ball in his hands.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the level of guy you bring in.
That's
like because he looking at Grimes, he like he looking at Grimes like get going down the floor. You know what I'm saying? That's how he looking at Grimes because Grimes is a young player. But if you're talking about if that was SGA, I think I think
it would be interchangeable. You're right. Oh man. And talk about getting somebody on their way up.
Yeah.
You know, if we were able to get our hands on SGA.
Oh.
Though I think, OKC, I was reading or did I hear they trying to take the next step, so to speak. So instead of getting off of SGA, they may be looking to add some veterans to begin to make their ascent.
That's what they say. That's what they say, but you never know. With those small market teams, the slightest tax bill they get, like that $9 million tax bill for Oklahoma City, right? That $9 million to them might be everything. For us, Dolan is like, hey man, that was what we spent it on lobster tails up in the Sweet Sea area. You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing about accumulating talent, either you're gonna pay the tax man now, or you're gonna pay the tax man later. But you gonna pay the tax man, right? They have dudes on their roster that next summer they got to start giving out extensions,
right?
You know, Chet Holmgren, just because he sat out of the year, don't mean that he didn't get paid,
right? Yeah, no doubt about it. Whose door would you go knocking on? Who? I know OKC. Anybody else door you would go knocking on that you haven't heard available in trades, but you would just knock just to see?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Wow, I can't believe Zach LaVine is 28.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow, no, I would have to cross Zach LaVine off the list too.
Because he's 28. Randall's 28.
Yeah, but we didn't get him at 28.
Oh.
I know that seems petty, right? Like, what's the difference?
So whether they grow in our organization or grow in another organization.
So LaVine in those 9 seasons, LaVine has only played 555 games. So I'm okay with it. So that means he's played about 60 or so games a year. Okay.
And the last 2 years, Jack, I think the last 2 years he might have been 70 or over.
Yeah. 67 and 77.
Okay.
That's what he is.
67 and 77. Yeah, I'm okay with LaVine. The injury, I love Brandon Ingram, but his injury history, I think he's like 56 games on average or something like that. That's a door I would knock on. I would go to OKC. I would knock on the door for SGA. I would knock on the door for Brandon Ingram. I don't know if I'd be willing to pay out of the pocket, pay so much because of the injury history, but I would definitely knock on the door. And
tell you what I would do. What I would trade the kit and caboodle for if I can't get Spider. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson out of Brooklyn. They're young.
Yeah.
They're playoff experience. They're on reasonable contracts. They're team players. For the most part, they stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I would.
They role players though. Do you see any of them? Maybe Mikal Bridges has another level. He can go to stardom.
Right.
Right. I just think the Knicks need one more, star guy. But I like those two guys too, Freeze. I'm not gonna lie.
And I gotta have both. I can't have one without the other. Right. Yeah, I gotta have both of them.
Getting greedy.
Yeah, I would do, and listen, I love Julius Randle, but I would do Julius Randle for them two straight up right now.
Wow.
Yep, and I love Randle.
Wow.
Or let me do the pecking order. So I love RJ, and I really like Quickly, and I really like Randle.
Right. Do you think the Knicks have enough players and assets to get 2 players? Do they got enough players and assets to get LaVine and Cat? Spider and Aiden.
Let me ask you this. What do you want? Like what do you want ideally? And then that way I can phrase my question or phrase my response. And not necessarily play an archetype, but what issue are you looking to solve?
3.
The 3, right?
No. Three issues.
Oh, okay.
A shooting center.
Okay.
Basically shooting. A shooting center. Okay. Shooting at the 2 and the 3 position, and a veteran point guard. And Ron, I don't know. I know Ron. Shout out to Ron from Still Knick fans. Y'all know my condition, though. I don't remember everything he said, but I think 2 of those might have been, if not all 3, what he was looking for as well. But yeah, switching out Mitch for somebody that can stretch the defense, even if it's just a little, getting some shooting at the 2 and the 3, and getting a veteran point guard. So if IQ is out, you got somebody that can play behind Brunson, and if Brunson is out and IQ moves to the starting lineup, you got somebody that can come in.
So basically, what I'm hearing when you say that is you like floor spacing and flexible lineups offensively. Like you want to have the floor be open so you can have a free flowing offense where you can get drives to the basket and people knocking down threes at a relatively high clip, like maybe 38% around the floor. Now you're not going to get that from a center unless you get Cat. But if you start on that, if you absolutely have to have 38% from everybody, then Cat is the fit.
No, I don't think you need 38% from your center. I think
no, I'm not talking about in general. I'm talking about you, what you want.
Yeah, even what I want. I don't need a center shooting 38% from 3. I think league average for centers was like 34, 30, not even 33%.
Right.
And basically I'm looking for, I see Brunson and Randall being the guys that's pushing the team right now, unless we bring in somebody else. And I think those guys draw double teams when they get in the key, and when they're passing it out for wide open shooters, we need some guys that can knock it down.
You listening, RJ Barrett? RJ Barrett, are you listening?
Right. And for Mitch, because they like to operate in the key, if we don't have Mitch there, they get a little more space. Now they did okay without it, but they get a little more space. So what I'm asking for is really because of those 2 guys.
Let me offer you this.
Okay.
Then let me offer you this. And this is going to sound bizarre, right? But let me remove RJ and insert Draymond Green, right? And then let me remove Mitch and add a Wendell Carter Jr. Now you have 3 guys. Now I know people are going to say, what are you going to do with 3 power forwards, right? I think with those guys, first of all, if you look at RJ Barrett's mobility, RJ Barrett moves like a 4 right now anyway, right? What I would do with that is all 3 of those guys can operate out of the pinch post and create 3-pointers for everybody. Now Draymond ain't gonna shoot or give you 3-point shooting, but what he will do is get Julius Randle wide open looks up for 3. And I know people are gonna say that's redundant, right? That's not redundant. Are we saying that Julius Randle is Draymond Green? No, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do think is the shooting is a must-have. But how you create these shots, you can add variances, right? You can have a dribble penetrator like Kyrie kicking out to shooters, or you can have somebody in the mid post like Draymond getting Steph Curry and Klay Thompson open looks just by playing out of the pivot, right? Or you can have ISO threes like Dame Lillard, who just come down and create his 3 off the dribble, Do you have a preference in how you get that spacing?
I don't have a preference in how I get the spacing. I was just going by what we already had. And how do we get players to play off of them a little better than the players that we had? But no, in terms of how we get those shots, it doesn't really matter. But we just need guys that can
they get guys that can shoot,
that can knock
down the threes, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I think what we're missing in our offense is those three layers that I just mentioned. The guy that can come down and create his own three consistently, and Damian Lillard. We basically have that in Brunson, but he only does it at 4 attempts a game.
You would like to see increase that?
If you have slashes and cutters on the floor, we don't have that. We just don't. We don't have that. Bo Ismail said no way to okay. So we just keep Mitch. So don't complain about Mitchell Robinson. If you don't want Drake, don't complain about Mitch. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, well, but it don't have to be Mitch or Draymond. It Mitch or somebody else. I think the Knicks, if they do it right, I think the Knicks can get 2 players in. I think the Knicks can bring in Levine and an OG, a Spider and a Cat.
I'm
not saying they would. I'm not saying they would, but I'm just saying I think the Knicks can bring in 2 players, but that would mean both RJ and Randall would be gone.
I don't think OG Anunoby is a player.
That's okay. It doesn't have to be OG. The point is that they can bring in 2 players, but that would mean both RJ and Randall would have to go. Let me read Paris Douglas super chat. Appreciate you rocking with us. You can't put outside shooting around people. You got to get your capable shooters to become clutch shooters. Miami guys just became clutch shooters. Asking non-pressure guys to shoot well here is fantasy. Okay. Right. So yeah, I think in terms of I think the Knicks can get 2. They can get 2, but you got to be willing to depart with both RJ and Randall.
I'm
not saying I would.
Am I missing?
It was like, Steph, you want to trade both RJ and Randall? No, but I'm just saying they could.
Okay, so my thing is, my reception is incomplete.
Okay.
I think I'm buffering. So are you saying go get 2 and keep 2 and we have 4? Or go get 2, keep 1, have 1? Or go get 2, go get Giannis and Luka? I'm trying to figure out.
Giannis and Luka I don't think Giannis and Luka are
available, right? But I'm asking you, is that what you're talking about looking at doing? Go get 2 megastars.
No. Out of the players that have been connected to the Knicks in possible trade talks, the Knicks can keep Brunson and can get 2 of those guys.
So keep 1 and go get 2.
Keep 1 meaning Brunson. Yes. But you would have to be willing to get off of both RJ and Randall to do it. The point is the Knicks can twinkle with this a little bit, or they can tinkle with it a lot. Well, if they tinkle with it a lot, it's not a tinkle. Yeah, they have the assets to go in different ways.
So like a Randall and Mitch and say Obi for Embiid type, and then take RJ and Grimes and draft picks and go get a Brandon Ingram type.
You could do it. They can do it if they wanted to. They have the assets to do it.
Okay.
I don't think they would be willing to go that far though.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm excited for the night. I'm gonna go get me a wing platter and some adult stuff and sit down at the computer and watch this thing play out. Hopefully it's about 2:25 now. So hopefully by about 4:00, we'll either have Levine or Spider.
But how is that possible? This is the thing. If they're trying to dump salaries, you can do it. If they're looking for talent, RJ Barrett, you can't trade RJ Barrett's contract until July 1st.
Right.
In order to get LaVine without RJ Barrett, if they're just willing to dump salary and for Fournier and Rose and Obi or not that Obi's a salary dump, but I mean Obi and IQ or whatever, and maybe you can do it, but I would think they would want an RJ.
But none of this stuff is official until the league year starts anyway. So even when you do when you do the trades on draft night, none of that. It's still
it's going to be coming. Okay, so we can still hear about it, even though it can't happen.
They're just going to agree in principle, and then
Okay, yeah. I'll be at Legends with nothing but Nick. Shout out to Simeon Russell and the MBK fam,
Russell,
and fans. And I don't know who's joining us at Legends, 6 West 33rd Street, right across from the Empire State Building. That's our spot. Okay. We're having a draft party. I'm not going there for the draft. When they start talking about the plays in the draft, you're going to see Queen real quiet. When they start talking about the trades and what the ramifications are for the Knicks, that's when I'll have something to say.
I think I'm gonna have me some wings in here and probably 2 dogs staring me down. Yeah, anybody in here pet owners, you ever like trying to eat like a little snack and your dogs be looking at you like you on trial? Like, how dare you come in here and trying to eat something so delicious? Yeah, that's what I'll be facing tonight. So
yeah. Knicks might be able to get 2, but I don't think there's any combination of available players that make the Knicks better.
Okay. Ooh, what?
Okay.
No Paul George, Zach LaVine?
Yeah.
We come out of here with Paul George, Zach LaVine.
And Paul George, for those the injuries, I know. He only has 2 years left. And that second year is a player option.
And he opting out.
Right. So during that year, Randall comes off the books. You can re-sign him if you want. Brunson comes off the books. You can re-sign him if you want. Paul George comes off the books. You can basically start over if you wanted to.
Yeah.
2 years from now. If you want to.
Yeah, if you want to.
If you want to. So I'm not. I'm okay with the Paul George. I know it's 40, but we could definitely afford him.
We paying Rose and what's the name 33.
Yeah.
Queen B, you don't find it to be hilarious that people are like, I don't want to pay such and such 30 million, and then we out here like, but we got to keep Josh Hart for like 18. Really?
Yeah. Well, Josh Hart, you don't even want to sign for 18. To me, everything I'm thinking, what you're doing with Rose and Fournier was under the new CBA.
Old CBA.
The old CBA. I'm saying
right.
You're not going to be able to do that with the new like they say.
But they still on the books until we make a decision. Derrick Rose has a team option. If we keep his team option, he on the books for next year.
But they would only do that if they're going to include him in the trade.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think they would do that and keep him. And I think Fournier is an expiring contract. And from what I understand, expiring contracts with the new CBA are valuable.
They are probably more valuable than draft picks.
Yeah. So I think we're going to be okay. I just don't want that. What was that year 2 years ago when we had all that cap space and we ran it back and signed Kemba and I was like,
Burks and Nerlens Noel played 26 games.
Like, oh no, we didn't just do that. No, we didn't.
You two gonna ban me. You two gonna ban me if we start handing out Isaiah Hartenstein extensions. Oh, you talking about somebody?
Yeah, you got to be. You know what I think? I think the salary cap is going to get squeezed. Like all these guys who are getting 20 million, those are going to be your 12 to 15 million. Like because teams are not going over that second apron. No. They're just not. So right? No. Why?
Because it's worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
No. If you have like for a team like Denver, it's worth it. Because you just want to trip. So you can argue that we can run this same team back.
All the second round teams going over. Or if you're a second round team, you got to go over this tax apron. You can't be the second one. You got to go over it.
Listen, have your team. You better have a championship contending team. Is the only thing I'm trying to say, because you can't make any moves. You can't aggregate salaries. You can't put 2 and 3 players together to get one guy.
I know.
You got to trade. You know that the contracts have to match 100%. You're not getting anybody off the buyout market. You don't have mid-level exceptions. So go over the second apron if you want, but you locked into your team.
Right. But what I'm saying to you, Queen B, is if the Knicks get, say, Brandon Ingram and Donovan Mitchell, they going over the second apron. And when people say, I don't like being over the second apron because we got Brunson, Spider, and Brandon Ingram, they crazy.
That's different. The point is, if you have a championship contending team, yes, just know you locked into that team. But if it's a championship contending team, I'm good with it.
Right.
But my point is, you can't lock yourself into a team that's not a championship contending team.
I know. I understand.
But yeah, if we got Brunson, we got Ingram, we got, who's the other guy? We got
Paul George or Carl-Anthony Towns or whoever.
Lock it.
We got to lock it in and like it. You know what I'm saying? Because the alternative is not being over the apron, being in purgatory. You in that 44-win window, and hearing your fan base sing them old slave song. I hate being in purgatory. You know what I'm saying? It's just, do you want to hear that, or do you want to go for it and prove to your fan base that you're willing to do what it takes to win a championship?
But I think what they're trying to do is make it an even playing field, because even when you go over that apron, if you go over it, I think twice in 3 years or 2 and 5, it's even more punitive. Basically, what the NBA wants you to do is everybody build a team right below the second apron. And then that way it's across the board fair for everybody. Sure, there's exceptions where you want to go over the second apron. You're locked though. But because you feel you have a championship team, fine. But it gets even more punitive if you're over there, I think 2 out of 3 years or 2 out of 5. It gets even more punitive.
The owners ain't worried about that.
It's not the money punitive. Not the money punitive. It's just.
I understand you're talking about the restriction in movement. I understand that part. Right? What I'm saying to you is, if you got to match contracts done, people are smart. These people in these front offices, they are smart. They didn't, you know what I'm saying, put their application on Indeed. They are smart. You know what I'm saying? These people have experience. They will know how to move in that space. They will know how to match contracts and all that stuff in order to get better. You know what I'm saying? As long as you know what the rules to the game are, you should know how to play it.
Somebody will know, and somebody will ace it.
Yep. Yeah. Golden State owners said, we ain't even worried about it. We're gonna pay our guys. And then too, just real quick, ultimately, the people that pay that money is always the fans. The fans are ultimately always. So if Dolan have a $300 million payroll and the tax bill is $300 million, instead of you paying $158, you'll be paying $207. That's just how it works. And the restriction and movement, you still getting your draft picks, so you can improve your roster with draft picks every year. You know what I'm saying?
The draft picks get locked too.
Yeah.
The draft picks get locked too. As well. The draft picks will get locked. There's, I forget the scenario where no matter where it falls, it becomes the last pick in the draft.
Right.
But I think that might just be with trades. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I agree with you. I think the front offices are studying it, and it's coming out in dribs and drabs. I think what's out there is not even the entire CBA. It's coming out in dribs and drabs. Right. And you're right. That's why they get paid the big bucks, to ace it and figure out how you're gonna improve your team. So you're definitely right about that. Man, I had a good time today. It's always fun chopping it up with you.
Always fun
chopping it up with the chat. I kind of like this, do the audio podcast, hour 15, cut it off. If we want to go, more we can. And that way you can serve two audiences.
Yeah.
I'll see how it goes. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We going on tomorrow night, Dope Soul Sports Talk, between 8:30 and 9:30 to talk about what should go down tonight. or early tomorrow morning.
Or tomorrow morning, right?
We will be on, because we're not going on tonight. I know we usually go on tonight, Thursdays 9:30. No show tonight. I'm at Legends with the MBK fam and well, listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to Nothing But Knicks. Yeah. I'll be on there giving my opinion. We'll be going live. We'll have a podcast, but tomorrow night here. Freezie, what's up for you?
I'm probably gonna be at this computer rocking. So I don't know what the schedule is gonna be like. I'm gonna try to do a watch along.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to do a watch along and then continue to rock. I feel like the fan base definitely needs, us to rock and roll and be there for them on their day. This is like our Super Bowl. So yeah. I'm gonna try to be around and provide content and all of that stuff. I just don't know what the schedule is gonna be like.
Yeah, and if nothing goes down, we got to be there for the fan base and for ourselves in the morning session, like funeral morning.
Yeah, morning.
The kind of talk
about you.
Like Ajay sent me a picture after the Boston trade, the Bradley. He sent me a picture of Leon Rose. Text me a picture of Leon Rose sleeping.
No doubt. I hope we're not texting that same picture later on.
Listen, if that's the case, we'll know by the show 9 o'clock. That might be the thumbnail. That might be the thumbnail.
Unity, we all have to do it. Create the same thumbnail. Put the same thumbnail up for everybody's channel. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, we out of here. I appreciate you, fam. Until next time.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope Soul.
Where you at?